So, good morning and welcome to this week's podcast. It's the Ask Ilsa show. We're talking about issues and joys and pleasures and lots of stuff to do with relationship and how do we manage self care in relationships is our topic for today. And I am very happy to bring up this topic because as always, I find my topics originate from a lot of times from my own life. And I love to share my own, epiphanies with all of you. So if you're watching live, my name's Ilsa. You can find out more about me on my website, pleasureforhealth.com, and see all of my courses, what coaching I do. I'm a somatic coach, and how you can get in touch with me. So let's dive into today's topic and talk about self care. First of all, self care is a bit of um, a loaded topic to start with. It seems like everyone's talking about self care, but it's hard to actually do it. So if that's you, let's dive in today and see how we can actually work on, what does self care look like for you? And I think when I think about self care, it's different every day, and it's different for me than it would be for someone else, and sometimes different for me versus my partner. Depends on what your personality is. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Do you need time alone? Do you need time in nature? Do you need time with your partner? Do you need excitement? Or I actually had a friend post recently on Facebook that they needed new and invigorating experiences that was rejuvenating for them. So I think it's partly about really knowing yourself, because if you listen to all of the advertising or the media about, okay, have a hot bath, or take some time out, or go to the spa, or all of these like typically known self-care options, and that might not resonate with you at all. And so how do you even look at self-care? So again, it's about knowing yourself, and this is a lot of what I help clients do in the somatic coaching arena, is really looking at what brings you pleasure, what helps you relax, like what does your body, what does your soul, what does your spirit want when you are needing to regenerate, to kind of get some energy back for yourself, get your mojo back, your flow. And so this is actually an exploration that in and of itself is quite important. So these are things that we can work on within coaching. We can give you exercises. We can work through fun little enactments to kind of test out with your body, check it out, and find out what actually makes you tick. Like, what do you like? What do you need? And a lot of us, especially I would say those, myself being a woman, we kind of have social conditioning to not really think about what we want, and to kind of think about what everyone else wants to relax. So, a lot of us, when I work with groups of women, a lot of women can answer immediately what their male partner wants, if they have a male partner, or a female or other gendered partner. They know what the other person wants. They know what their kids need. They know what their parents-in-law need. They know what their friends would like. They know everything about everyone, but when you ask them about themselves, they just like they go blank. They're like, I don't know what I need to do self-care, like just look after everyone else. So this is not the right answer. Looking after everyone else is very, service is lovely, and it's a really great intention, but you need also to balance that with self-care. So in a relationship, if that's being your go-to mode of conduct, to quickly kind of look at what everyone else needs, and fulfill those needs, and not look at your own, you're going to end up with a really one-sided one-sided relationship. You're going to be doing a lot of the caretaking, and the other person's going to be reaping the benefits of the fact that you're so great at caretaking. Except that at some point, what I see is that you get resentful because, you're not doing that same thing for yourself. And perhaps nobody else is either. Unfortunately, if we all looked after the person next to us and it came around in a circle, that might work. But, it doesn't work like that always. And as we know, we can end up, giving out a lot of energy to other people and then not getting that returned back to us. And so those that are givers just end up burning out. And in a relationship, this can be the death of your relationship, even if you have a great, loving, and good relationship for the most part. If you are not looking after your own self care and your partner looking after theirs, or partners, like if you're not also focusing on yourself in some form or another, you're not going to, you're not going to be able to sustain that kind of, dissociation from your own needs and wants, I think, at some level, because really we aren't today in this day and age, we are not just living the roles of, okay, I'm the homemaker, you're the, the business person, and here's how we do things, you're the parent, you do this. We actually want to become more aware of who we are, what kind of gifts we bring to the world, what personality we have, how we do that. So we really do have to do the work, and part of the work is knowing what replenishes us, replenishes our energy. So if you want to have a great relationship with that kind of equality, you need to work on what rejuvenates you. So your self-care and your partner as well. So I would say that what's interesting for me about this, and what I was discovering in my own relationship, was that this, if I try to do my self-care and get validation from my partner, or even have him make space for me, or him to do it or understand it, sometimes that doesn't work. Often that doesn't work. So what works better is if I take some few minutes, even doesn't need to be long, to just check in with what I really need, and then make the time and space in my life for that, without needing to check it over with him, without needing to um, kind of say, is this okay if I take, I mean, maybe you need to say, yeah, I'm going to take half an hour or an hour or a whole day or a weekend, for my own self-care. But I don't think any of us really mind being, told that our partner is taking care of themselves. What becomes difficult is if we're like, oh, I feel like I'm all burnt out. Like, oh, like if we just complain to our partner and we sit there not really saying what we need or want, not making time for ourselves. So when I get into trouble is if I'm tired and overworked, and then I'm like, oh, I just got to get up and do this thing. Now I have all this work to do, and then I just don't take the time for myself. I end up being a real bitch to be around, and it's not so fun for my partner either. So when I decide to take some time for myself and to really hone in on what it is I want and what it is I need to do, then the rest of the day or the rest of the week, the rest of the life goes better with my partner. So what I've found recently often is, I need to um, take a bit of time, first of all, just to figure out what I need, and not just jump into doing more things that I think I should need. So that's step one, is take some time of reflection and actually, feel into what actually makes you go, ah. And that's kind of what I say to my clients. What makes you go, ah, that feeling of, okay, this is perfect. This is what I really wanted. Sometimes it is taking a bath. Sometimes it's doing yoga. Sometimes for me, it's like running around and screaming my head off outside in the garden. Sometimes it's going for a long walk. Sometimes a drive. Sometimes going for coffee. These are some of the things I like to do to replenish. Quite often for me, it's spending time on my own. And I'm realizing more and more, I think many of us actually are realizing that we may not be as extrovert as we thought we were, or we're extrovert for only a short amount of time. And we want to go back to our little nest or our shell and kind of recoup So taking some time for myself is important. Um, I also found that like playing with my partner can be a form of self-care too. So, this morning we were discussing working on our business and getting in a little bit of a stuck place because it's a hard thing for both of us. It's hard to envision. And in order to kind of diffuse tension, I kind of jokingly said, "Do you want to do an interpretive dance of what your answer to me is?" And he was like, "Yes, I do actually." And he did this really great interpretive dance, which was, pretty much like, "Get off my case," like "F you." But it was in a playful way, and so I could receive it like that much easier than him actually saying, "Leave me alone" or whatever. So then I was like, okay, here's my interpretive answer to that. And we ended up having a really good time just playing our frustration at, not really at each other, but just at what we needed to do together. We are creating a huge business together and it's difficult. So it was super cool to actually go into play mode and interpretive dance mode and make something of that. So there may be something in that for you. Sometimes we have to just not take ourselves so seriously. So if you have a partner that's open to playing, you could just say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling right now." And maybe you do a little dance, maybe you draw a picture, maybe you write a poem, something that you can share how you're feeling, or just, somehow that you can just understand how you're feeling in the first place and then work on self-care. And this is important to, then both the rest of the morning we went and did our own separate things. And I took the morning and did some stuff for myself. And I think my partner did the same. And, we're going to come together after this and, plan the next step in our project. So that balance between spending time together and really trying to get our needs met from the other person and actually taking time and getting our needs met from ourselves or from our own understanding of who we are is important. So, there isn't really, it's not rocket science to do self care, but it requires you to listen to yourself. And this is one thing that I love in the field of somatic coaching is that we learn how to listen to our body. And I think our body is the up and coming or the finally being recognized wise part of ourselves that we've neglected for, decades and is finally coming into its own and saying, "Hey, look, I have wisdom for you here. I know what I like. My body knows what it's like, what it likes. Um, I know, what I want, what I need." Actually, I might just look for a poem that I wrote recently about this because, sometimes we have to go to a different way of learning about ourselves, not just the typical, um, you know, present moment, or I shouldn't even say present moment. I should say, you know, beta brainwaves of just being really logical. Sometimes we have to go to a more artistic place to actually figure out who we are and what we want. So I'm just, sometimes for me, that's writing poetry, drawing a picture, um, or doing an interpretive dance. So finding a way to come to know yourself in a different way sometimes helps because just taking on someone else's way of doing self-care is not your way of doing self-care. Self-care means figuring out what is caring for yourself. So I'm going to read you a little poem I wrote actually a few weeks ago when I was contemplating it. And it's called "The Body Wants What It Wants." The body wants what it wants. It doesn't measure right or wrong, or my feelings versus your feelings. It just wants what it wants. Right now, in the moment, craving, desire, pleasure. My body wants it all. It doesn't care how much it costs. It doesn't look at realistic options. My body just wants what it wants. My body reaches out and closes in on a whim. It unfolds with tears and sighs of mourning and satisfaction in almost equal mix. My mind succumbs in trembling gratitude. My body just wants what it wants. And I think that for me sums up, what self-care is, and it's learning what your body wants, and that gives you a great sense of um, replenishing your energy. This is our mode of getting around in the world, and this great partner that we have in the world. So let's use it a little bit more. So if you've never really taken the time to listen to your body, it can take a little bit of practice. And just, maybe even right now, those of you that are listening at home, just take a hand and put it lightly on your chest, maybe on your belly, or maybe both. And just feel your hand. Just maybe move it around a little bit. Just feel your hand on your chest, feel your hand on your belly. Take a breath and just notice the outside, touching that you're doing with your hand, and the inside kind of massaging that you're doing with your breath, and how you can hold your body with that breath and with your hand. And just feel really held and feel really known with that. It's like getting held in two directions. And you can try that with any part of your body. You can put your hand on the outside of your shoulder. Breathe into your shoulder and feel your hand and your breath kind of massaging the inside and the outside. This is a great way to just connect and get into your body. And then you might just ask, I always just ask in my head. I always have voices in my head. That's, maybe slightly concerning, but I usually have voices in my head, and I ask, hey, body, or, what shoulder, or, hips, or, entire body, what do I want right now? What do I need? Do I need a glass of water? Do I need to go walk around? Do I need to do some stretching? Do I need a hug? Do I need to curl up in bed for half an hour? Do I need to listen and dance to my favorite song? Like making kind of an inquiry into that and seeing what works for you. Because again, it's this what would make me right now in this moment just go and feel my whole being just kind of settle down and feel really good. So that's the inquiry. And hopefully that gives you somewhere to start. The next place you want to start is checking out my website at www.pleasureforhealth.com and seeing what else we can look at as far as learning to know and love yourself. And hopefully there's something in here for you today. Have a wonderful Friday.